With friends like Angela, Belinda, Nate, and Tony, it's a wonder if these two are even going to make it down the aisle, y'all. We're talking season 2, Zatima, episode 3 and 4. Let's get into it.
This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you. Then why did you send it to her?
I can tell. All right. So what's going on, bro?
Nothing. I'm
Oh,
not.
no. Oh, shit. Oh, shit, I know what it is. What's that? The man's got blue balls. What? He's backed up. She stopped giving it.
Okay, y'all. So on last week, we learned that Zac had a really big trauma in his life, and we learned a little bit more about him, and we learned about his mom, and it was just a sad situation. So of course, Zac is still dealing with the fallout from that situation. Now, when the episode opens up, we're going to see that Angela is going to be talking to Fatima, and she's actually going to be encouraging her, like, to keep your options open. We know that Angela is still not Team Zac, and she just wants Fatima to be careful about how she approaches her relationship with Zac and maybe not put all of her eggs into this bucket. However, at the end of the day, like Fatima says, they are engaged, so it is what it is. Now, we are going to see that Fatima is going to be letting Zac know, hey, I got you. I'm here for you. And she constantly reminds him of this. Now, as they go outside, we're going to see that Deja is going to have on a neck brace, y'all. Your girl Deja is just way too much. Like, Deja be doing so much stuff. It is so funny to see Deja. I really think that she is something that this show really needs. I think the added bonus of having her the next door neighbor that Fatima despises, and the things that she does to try to get at Fatima, and the way that she continuously flirts with Zac, I just feel like it is a much needed bonus to this entire show, y'all. So anyway, we're going to see that Zac is going to try to help her at first. And then Fatima is like, don't go over there and help her. So then Fatima goes over and help her, throws her groceries up against the wall, breaks the wine. It's just crazy, these whole dynamics that they have. Now we're going to see that they are going to actually get to Fatima's job because Zac is dropping her off. And he's going to see Paul. And immediately he's going to think that Paul has an agenda. He's immediately going to think that there's something going on. So when he approaches Paul, he doesn't even go up to him and ask him anything. He just feels like, Paul is up to something, and why is he fixing her tire? And the whole dialogue between him and Paul is just like way too much for me. I'm just like, come on, Zac, calm down. Like, we at least got to give him a chance. You ain't even got to come at him just like that. I mean, he tried to help your girl out. I mean, she was the one that literally didn't call you, if we just keeping it real. But, oh boy stepped up. He helped out, but I get it. Zac is sensing whatever he's sensing, which I don't even know what he was sensing, because he was on 100 before he ever even got out of the car. So I don't know. These just two are just so jealous to me. I'm just like, why are y'all so freaking jealous? It's so crazy to me. Now, I understand Fatima and her thing with Deja, because Deja has continuously come at Zac, and Deja is just extremely disrespectful. However, I didn't understand this situation with Zac. I'm like, bruh, he ain't even do nothing yet. Like, at least give him a chance to do something before you just go in on him. But it is what it is. And then I think one of the funniest parts about this whole dialogue between them is when Zac actually tells her to pay him. He's like, she's like, how much do I owe you? And then he's like, no, I mean, I just did it for this beautiful young lady or something like that, he says. And Zac is like, wait a minute, slow down with the compliments. And yes, she gonna pay you, pay the man, and then he goes on to tell Fatima to pay him. I'm like, fool, why don't you just pay him then if that's the case? And then he ends up pulling money out of his wallet and then throws $7 at him. And I'm just like, dang, Zac, that's extremely disrespectful. You just gonna throw the money out there like that? Like, real talk, this dude really hasn't done anything to you at this moment. So it is what it is, but I just wasn't feeling this whole situation. I just thought it was a little bit overboard. So anyway, Fatima's going to be like, you're not going to kiss me or anything. You're just going to leave like this. You're just going to be mad. And so Zac kisses her on the forehead, and then he goes on his way. We're going to get to Zac's office, and we're going to see that Nate and Tony are going to be there. Now, they are there to check on him, as they say. And let me just be honest, I thought that Tony was starting to become a much better friend, but Tony still has his tendencies sometimes. And sometimes I just wonder, why in the world are they even friends with the people that they are friends with? Because they just do a lot, seriously. But I did like the thought that Tony and Nate both popped up to check on him. You can see that Nate is just like, he don't care what they done had going on. They always going to be friends, clearly. But Nate is like, look, we just trying to check on you. But Nate is more of an instigator than anything. He seems to know way too much. He always knows something. I mean, he was the one who actually knew about Zac talking to his mom because Jeremiah told him. So the fact that he and Jeremiah are still cool, I don't know about this, but these are Zac's friends, y'all. So anyway, we are going to see that Fatima is going to be at her office building, and she's going to run into Angela, and Angela and her are just going to have like a few words about what just happened with Zac. And what I noticed is that Fatima immediately goes to the fact that Zac isn't always like this, that he's going through something. And I get that a person is going through something, and that's completely fine. But the way that Zac acted, in my opinion, it just felt real childish, and it just felt out of line and out of place at that particular moment in time. It just didn't really make much sense. I get that he's going through something, but was that really the way to handle the situation? I just feel like there was a gazillion other ways that Zac could have handled that situation. But anyway, the interesting part is that Bryce is going to actually be coming up the elevator, and Fatima's going to be like, you need to handle that. So now Angela is forced to talk to him. But even in this moment, she's just like, I'm good or whatever. And she doesn't want to talk to him. And she's just like, we'll talk later, not here. And he's like, if you don't talk to me, then I'm just going to show up at your house if you don't call me. And she's just like, I'll call you. And I'm just like, why don't you just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off, Angela? Be a big girl and just go ahead and talk to this man. You tell everything else. You out here talking to Belinda and telling her stuff. Just go ahead and tell him what it is. Like, let's just get this part over with. Why don't we? So anyway, we're going to get back to Zac's office building, and we're going to see that Zac is going to still be talking to Nate and Tony. Bryce is going to pop up, and he's going to try to talk to Nate and Tony, and Zac is basically blocking him from talking to them. And I'm just like, the immaturity at this point is just baffling to me. I'm so over this right now. Something about this episode right here was just really annoying me with Zac. Like, he was just being so extra. And to be fair, just because Bryce came on to you doesn't mean that he has an attraction to your friends at all. That's not what that meant, Zac. Come on now, bro. Like, let's do better than that. But anyway, y'all, we're going to see that Bryce and Zac are eventually going to have a moment as well, where Bryce is going to talk to him and basically just tell him that he's being an ass. And he's just like, look, it was just a kiss. Like, can we move on? And I'm just like, bro, well, first and foremost, it was a little more traumatic than that for him, of course. And I get where Zac is coming from with that situation as it relates to him. But like I said, when he was not wanting him to talk to Nate and Tony, that was too much. But in this conversation, Bryce is asking him, like, what did you tell Angela? And he says, yeah, I told Fatima. And we all know that Fatima told Angela. So now he realizes that this is the reason why Angela has been ghosting him and not, responding to him and avoiding him. So they go on, and then Zac gets angry when Bryce says something about, you act like I murdered your mother. And I'm like, bruh, that is a expression. Do not get mad. But of course, Zac goes off, and, everything is just anger in this episode with Zac. Like, I'm just like, bruh, you was doing a lot this episode. So he gets mad, and I mean, po Bryce, I thought Bryce was about to get beat down again. I thought he was about to get punched again, y'all. But Zac ends up leaving. Now, Zac is going to end up going to Fatima's office. Now, back at the office, Fatima is, trying to work, and there's a lot of noise going on. So, of course, she's going to go up to the next floor where they're doing the construction, and she's going to ask Paul, like, hey, can y'all keep it quiet? Now, he's going to say something like, I can't remember his exact wording, but he basically says, I'll come down and talk to your boss, even though I don't know what the purpose of that was. I mean, she just asked you to be quiet pretty much, like, for a little while she's on the conference call or whatever. But maybe as him being the business owner that he is, or because he's the owner, maybe he wanted to make sure that everything was copacetic. I don't know. Whatever the case was, he says that he's going to come down. So he comes down. And when Fatima's walking away, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go down now with you. So they go and get in the elevator. Long story short, they get stuck in the elevator. They have a conversation in the elevator. And this is when we learn that Paul really does have a thing for Fatima. And Zac, low-key, was right. But the problem with this is that even though he was right, he didn't know he was right. The way he treated him wasn't right from the jump. But yes, Paul does like Fatima. Yes, she is his type. And no, Angela is not his type, because Fatima tries to put him on to Angela. And he's just like, she's not my type. And she's like, so you got a type, like, what's your type? And then he's like, like you, and so we all see this whole thing forming with him. And he goes on to tell her, like, look, if I was your man, like, I would never disrespect you. And she's just, she takes up for Zac and says that Zac is not being disrespectful, and Zac is not typically like this. And this is just like an off day for him. And, Paul isn't buying it. He's just like, yeah, I've seen his type before. And so, eventually, the elevator is finally going to open up. Fatima's going to stumble and she almost falls, and Paul is going to catch her. At this moment, when the elevator opens up, Zac actually is right there. I guess he's coming to talk to Fatima. And then he sees this, and then he gets into the elevator and acts a fool, y'all. Oh my goodness. Whew. It was so much. So anyway, he gets into the elevator and he's like, what's going on? Like, he's like, I saw you getting up off your knees. I'm like, bruh, really? Did you really see her getting up off her knees? Or did you see her kind of in his arms? Because if she was getting up off of her knees, and if anything was happening in that situation like that, then there would still be an issue of maybe his pants, stuff like that. Like, it just logically didn't make any sense the way that he feels like something was going on. And when Fatima goes on to tell him, like, look, there's nothing going on, and then she tries to explain to him what happened, like, he doesn't want to listen to her. He's not trying to hear what she's saying. I was just over everything about this episode with Zac, y'all. Why did they have to make him so annoying in this episode? And I like Zac, you know what I'm saying? But in this particular episode, like, I honestly just wanted to climb through the TV and just choke the hell out of Zac. He was just being so freaking much. And you can't even blame it on his situation with his mom. Like, there's no reason to just be this way, especially with Fatima, who's been there for you, who's consistently told you how down she is for you, who consistently shows you how much she loves you, who is consistently there for you, who just that morning was telling you how much she's got you. So I don't understand why Zac felt the need to cause this whole big scene in this elevator when she's telling him that nothing happened. And then that brings us to him and Paul having a little altercation in this elevator. Paul kind of hems him up, and then he's holding him, and he's like, telling him that nothing happened. And he's like, she's always talking about you. She's always, saying how great of a guy you are. And then Fatima is behind him telling him to let him go. And I'm just like, come on now, really? Maybe he need his arm held like this for a minute so he can calm his ass down. So then he lets him go, and he's like, look, let's just start over. Let's just try this again. And so he introduces himself and lets his guard down. And I'm like, Paul, now you got to know that dude is being real petty right now. So you have to know that you probably about to get sucker punched or something. And lo and behold, Zac headbutts him. And I'm just like, really? So that's that whole elevator scene, y'all. It was just a lot going on. Now we are going to see Belinda, which we haven't seen in quite some time. And to be honest, I could have lived without seeing Belinda, but Belinda is going to pop up in this episode. We're going to learn that she has a podcast. Her and Angela, of course, are still cool. Now, there was a moment where they're talking about what went down at Angela's job, of course, with Zac and Fatima and Paul in the elevator. And of course, Belinda has the video and she knows about the situation. And Angela, of course, they're basically just gossiping about it. Now, Angela can say that she wasn't gossiping about it, but she literally was gossiping about it with her, with Belinda. So that is what it is. Now, Angela is going to tell her not to post it. But of course, when Angela leaves to go have dinner with Fatima, Belinda literally says that I'm going to post it. So she should have already known that that's what was going to happen before she even sent that video over there to her, before she told her about it. Like, just because it was going around the office building doesn't necessarily mean that it was going to get back to Belinda, and you really shouldn't have did that. If you say that you're friends with Fatima and you're trying to be friends with Belinda, why y'all even discussing or having any type of conversations about the other one, especially right now that these two are not really gelling together and they're not really friends? So I don't know. That just was doing too much. And that's what bothers me about Angela. Fatima always says that Angela is too nice, but at the end of the day, I feel like Angela knows exactly what she's doing. And I just think that Angela is not as great of a friend as she appears to be. I feel like even though she says some of the right things at the right time, like when she tells Belinda, we're not going to do this, this is our friend, that's not what we're going to do. Well, it's your friend. You should have never even sent that video to somebody who you knew would try to hurt your friend, because that's exactly what Belinda does. Like, Belinda is not on the up and up with Fatima right now, so everything that she does, she wants to hurt her. So you knew that. So anyway, y'all, at dinner, Fatima is going to find out about the video, and Angela's going to let her know that she was the one that sent it to Belinda, so technically it was her fault. And Fatima goes on to say that she needs to go pay Belinda a visit, and Angela's like, nah, let's not do that. So Fatima's just like, you know what, I can't even handle this. So she just decides to leave and go. Now, we are also going to see where Zac and his friends are out hanging out as well. Zac is trying to let off a little aggression, I guess, because he has all this built up, pent up energy going on, and he and his friends are just doing the most. Nate is like, oh, you're not getting none no more. And I'm like, dang, it's only been one single day. Like, the time frame on this show is day by day. And literally on the last episode, which was the day before, Fatima had just got him the side chick, and they literally had sex that morning. Like, oh my God. It's been one day. I just cannot. So anyway, y'all, we're going to see that Connie is going to pop up, and it's because Nate, of course, called her. Now, we're going to learn that Connie was an Achilles heels for Zac. Connie was a person that he continued to have relations with. Even when he was in relationships with other women, he would still always backdoored and go back with Connie. Now, if you don't remember Connie is the one who he ran into inside of the grocery store, and she's going to pop up. She's going to come see him, and she's basically going to get him to try to come and sleep with her. But Zac actually doesn't do it. But the fact that Nate actually calls her just shows that Nate still hasn't grown up. Like, Nate is still a horrible friend. I understand that they're cool and they've been friends for a long time, but I just feel like neither one of them have really good friends at this point. Like, even Tony sometimes slips, because Tony is over here kind of clowning the whole situation, and then, like I said, Nate is over here calling people and trying to get Zac to go and do something because he can't stand Fatima, so he wants her out of the way. It was just a lot going on, y'all. Now, we are going to see that Fatima is going to be having a conversation with her mom, and her mom, of course, is basically questioning her about her relationship because she doesn't seem to know much about it. She basically has found out that Fatima has moved in with Zac. Now, we are going to find out in this particular episode that it's really only been about a span of 3 weeks that these two have been living together, based on what they said in this episode. And the mom is just like, okay, you're living with him. And the mom ends up basically telling Fatima, hey, I need to meet him. We want you to bring him over for dinner. So that was the game plan. Now, we are going to see that Zac is going to make it home. And of course, your girl Deja is going to be outside doing the most, doing what Deja does. But at this point, y'all, I probably got more respect for Deja than I do for all of their friends, because at least Deja is upfront and she has been the same throughout the entire show. But these friends of theirs, oh my God, these friends can kick rock, seriously. But anyway, Deja has on her neck brace. She's trying to get out the car, so she basically wants Zac to come help her get out of the car. And of course, Zac is going to go try to help her. He's going to try to pick her up, but of course, Deja is going to do the most and try to throw her leg around his neck. Like, Deja is just so over the top, y'all. But what's going to end up happening is that Fatima's mom is going to pull up to her new place, and she's going to get out of the car, and nobody knows who she is, of course, because Zac has never met Fatima's mom. And then when she tells him who she is, he basically just drops Deja on the ground. It's so hilarious. But, this is Zac's first introduction to Fatima's mom. So this should be interesting to see how this is all going to work itself out, y'all. So anyway, y'all, that is what's up with season 2, episodes 3 and 4 of Zatima. Let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Let me know what y'all thought about how Zac was acting in this episode. Am I the only one that thought that Zac was just doing the most and was being so extremely extra in this particular episode? Go ahead and get the conversation started down below, guys. Meanwhile, if you like this video, make sure to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to your girl channel. Turn on your notifications so that you do not miss out on any of my future Zatima content. Now, guys, we will be going live for our live discussion about episodes 3 and 4 on Monday at 7:05 Central Time. That's 8 Eastern Time. So make sure to come and show up for that live. You'll get a notification from my channel, and you'll also get a notification from Tamika's Den because we are doing a collaboration, y'all. Now, meanwhile, if you missed last week's episode of Zatima, I'm gonna go ahead and leave my recap and review here. Go ahead and check that out. Until next time, guys, peace.